Hey guys, this is Dr. Sandy with another health tip motivation video to inspire you. As you know, the mission of our office is to make sure you have the best life possible, the maximum quality of life. We want you to enjoy, have that energy, have that good sleep, just function at that highest level possible, doing everything in your power. We put everything into the context of the power system, which basically says, make time for prayer, meditation, deep breathing, whatever works for you to relax the nervous system. We need to exercise. We need to have good food. And of course, we need to take care of the brain and spinal cord through proper, specific chiropractic care so we can maximize the neurology of the body. Now, when it comes to food, which will be today's topic, these are the 10 principles I want you to follow, concepts, integrated as you can. And I want to qualify myself. If you are on a special diet, that you're working with your medical doctor, maybe you have a certain health challenge, or your medical practitioner said, you can eat these, you can't, I would leave it as is. But these are general health principles. If you don't have a restrictive diet by your medical doctor, I want you to think about what I'm saying. These are just general overall principles that I think anyone can start to implement. But again, if you have a special diet for health reasons, or you're on certain medications because of health reasons and you're not allowed to change your diet, I would just hear this information, take a lot of notes, tell your doctor you're about to change certain things, and work with them to come up with a solution. But these are general health principles that we follow in our office to help the body, to help the nervous system, so you can have the best life possible. So I will start with jumping into the top 10. So number one is eating more real food. So I think we can all agree on this, that the more real food you eat, the better off you're going to be. We want to minimize processed food. I mean, there might be some people who eat no processed food, and that's amazing. I wish I could say I was in that boat. I'm not, but I do the best I can. Um, but we want to minimize how much like of the fast food, the processed food. We want to start getting back to basics, and the body just can work better with food that's obviously real. It can process it. When there's too many chemicals in the food, too many additives, it's just hard to see those pictures of health. And when I think about all the mentors I've had, people I respect health wise, they generally are trying to eat real food. I've seen that pattern. So we should follow that. It makes sense. So trying to eat real food would be number one. Number two, I would definitely say, as long as your body allows this. I know a few people have a reaction to this, but I think for most of the population, they're pretty good with this. You want to eat more greens, and more research is coming out. It is good for the body, obviously, but what I personally try to do, I'll try to actually make with carrot juice, and I'll put some greens in the morning. I try to have a smoothie every morning if I can, but I'm trying my hardest, especially as of late. And even for me, I study health and wellness, and sometimes you're doing certain things and they kind of fall to the wayside. I'm getting back into the good habits. I'm getting back into things I used to do, but I'm trying my hardest right now to make sure with my lunch and dinner I'm having greens. And a lot of people might say, well, yeah, we cook our spinach and we do this, which I think there's value in that. But a concept I'd like to share with you is that you should be like, okay, so with my lunch, I'm gonna have a salad with whatever. With my dinner, I'm gonna have my salad with whatever. So obviously, like a healthy source of protein, but you want to eat more greens. Greens are good for you. It thrives on the body. It helps the body. So for lunch and dinner, you want to start increasing that. Uh, some people are like, maybe if they look at their plate, it might be 20-30%, which is a great place to start. I'm trying to shoot for 50% of my plate as best I can. And I can tell you I am eating more, and maybe I don't always hit that, but I am eating more greens. I'm making a conscious effort that has to just be part of my meal. So it's something I want you to really start integrating as well. Number three, fruits, obviously good for you, and I'm purposely doing it that way. So greens would be like number one, and then number two, next to that would be fruits. So eating fruits, mixing up the fruits you have, seeing obviously which one suits you, but you want to rotate, when a concept that I'm going to share with you, there's a Dr. Mark Hyman who I think is really wrote a great book, and I'm going to mention that too. So he talks about it, and other doctors have mentioned, like eating the rainbow of colors. So just, not just having maybe apple every day, but maybe apple, then the next day you have a pear, and then you eat carrots, but trying to eat that spectrum of colors because there's different benefits with those foods. would be something to do. And when we look at fruits, the best fruits I keep seeing the research are like the blueberries, the strawberries, a lot of the berry families. And then you get creative. You know, sometimes you can have it as a snack. Sometimes you can throw it in a smoothie. Sometimes you can throw it in your salad. So it's something you want to implement. Nuts are healthy for you. The walnuts, the almonds, all those kind of nuts are obviously good for you. Obviously, I'm assuming as I share this again with you, you don't have allergies to the nuts, but very healthy for the body and something you want to implement in your diet on a regular basis, as long as, again, as I said, you don't have the allergies. Protein, healthy sources of protein, having the fish, the eggs, those kind of foods. And then I would also say possibly the chicken, if your diet allows that. If you are listening to this and you're vegetarian, so healthy sources of protein, I suppose that would be things like the lentils, maybe having certain kinds of tofu, certain things like that, and just making sure these are high quality proteins, less processed as much as possible. But looking at things from a protein perspective, the body needs that. It's like a building block for the body. It's good for the body, but just healthy sources of protein. Number six would be having um, grain and dairy are part of the diet. I understand that, but lower down the scale. So not as much. We're still going to have it, but not as much. So for some people, they might be eating the breads, the rotis, the naans, and things like that. And I understand it. I'm not going to say eliminate, but I would say reduce, and you want to increase the greens and healthy proteins would be a better way to follow it. Um, I think having too much of the breads, the rotis, and the naans, like I said, that can just be harder on the body, more inflammatory on the body, and we want to bring down inflammation to help the body, to help the nervous system, and we'll just heal at a much, much better rate. I can tell you personally, dairy wise, I've been drinking almond milk for years now. You can look at the different milk sources. There's coconut milk, see what suits you, obviously being sensitive to your body, what it can handle, but looking at those options as well. The big three that I've been telling my patients for years to avoid: caffeine, alcohol, and sugar. So these categories are inflammatory. It is harder on the nerve system. And if you want the body to heal, and if you're not even looking for healing, but just operating at the highest level possible, caffeine, alcohol, and sugar should be minimized. I think to say you'll never have it again, I think that's an extreme statement unless you're highly disciplined. And even for myself, if anything falls in these categories, I try to save it for the weekend and just having that discipline. And I don't like to say I'm never going to eat that food again, but just minimize, minimize, minimize. Because I think when you say never, you're going to be like, I want it, you crave it. But I would just say try to minimize as much as you can. Number eight would be obviously the classic, which is water. I mean, have juices, have different stuff. I respect that. I have carrot juice. I love carrot juice. I have almond milk, as I already mentioned as well. But making water a priority, that should be mostly what you're drinking. The health benefits are just so numerous. I'll probably make a whole other video on that as well. But water is beneficial for the body on many, many levels. Our body's mostly made of water, so it needs to be replenished. So water would be obviously up there. Um, and then I'm going to say this is my take on it. This is number nine, where I talk about small portions throughout the day. So I know in the culture right now, it's very popular to do a lot of fasting, intermittent fasting, like having these wide gaps with no food. And here's what I'm going to say. And even these suggestions I'm making to you, please customize, please see what works for you. Even if I'm saying something and you're like, that's great, he mentioned all these things, I'll implement, one, two, three, four, that's great. I think diet and food is a very personal thing. You have to see your lifestyle, your belief system, your faith system. There's so many variables that go, your family, how you were raised. There's so many variables. So look at all those things. But I will tell you that I'm more a proponent of grazing small portions throughout the day. I believe we should, be giving small amounts of food. I know on a personal level, when I've had a huge gap between eating, I don't feel right. I feel pain. I feel discomfort. I feel like my energy's off. I just don't feel good. If someone is doing large gaps between eating and they feel great, I mean, if that works for them, it could be also related to someone's metabolism, how their body works, whatever it is. So, I'm going to be a proponent of small portions throughout the day. I think it'll be just more stable for the body. There's not these spikes, with energy. And just things like that. So, you can try different systems, but I'm always going to be a proponent of small portions throughout the day. And then number 10, which is kind of like what I've been saying throughout all of this, is do your best to customize. I'm giving you suggestions, I'm giving you ideas. Um, don't feel, and I've seen this happen where someone might read something on the internet or their friends doing something like, okay, I have to do this, and they're miserable, they're not happy, but they're like, well, you just got to do it this way. Customize, maybe you look at a diet, and I hope this video becomes a starting point for that, but look at a diet and say, okay, that works for me. I'm going to literally take this idea from this diet plan, but I'll implement this one because it works for me. I don't know if I can get up that early with my time in the morning. I can't prepare a breakfast like that. Like, customize. And you want to be a scientist. See with your body that, oh wow, like, when I do drink the water, I do the greens, I feel great. I know Dr. Sandy's saying about grazing, but I actually find with fasting it works better for me. Awesome. But start being conscientious about what you're eating, your eating patterns, the gaps between when you eat. Just analyze those things. And I really think if we can all take time as a culture to look at that, it will benefit us. Our health will be better. We're going to feel better. And that's another thing. Like, I mean, you could do all these things, but the gold standard should be, are you feeling energized? Are you feeling refreshed? I believe those are good signs that you are on a diet plan that is working for you. And is it sustainable? Maybe you feel great, but you're like, 3 hours in the kitchen for every meal. You're going to bed late, getting up super early and stuff. And if it works for you and you're like, hey, that I actually enjoy it, that's fine. But is this sustainable long term? I would definitely look at that as well. The other thing, as I mentioned before, please, if you're listening to this, of course, if you're on a special diet, working with a medical practitioner, a health practitioner, and they've said, you can't do X, Y, and Z, that's fine. Maybe, as I said, I hope you took some notes in this video and maybe try to integrate, but work with them. These are just ideas for inspiration, obviously, for your well-being. And I would also say baby steps. So maybe if you listen to this video and you're like, that was a lot of information, I just know I need to drink more water. Great. Make that a project for the next 7 to 14 days. Maybe you're like, I have a habit of skipping meals and I don't feel the best. So maybe your only goal is to make sure you do eat a lunch or you do eat a breakfast. And I don't know why. I feel like a lot of people I talk to are not eating breakfast. So I'm a proponent of eating breakfast, maybe not a massive one, but something to get the day started because you've been sleeping and getting up. But listen to your body, try different things, and get into those good habits and rituals. As always, if you're enjoying this, please like, share, subscribe. I really hope you enjoy it. And one thing I'm going to end off with too. So as I read material, as I learn certain things, if I find something of value, I want to share it with you. So this is a book I do recommend. It's called The Pegan Diet. And this is actually from a patient recommendation. And then I ordered the book. It makes a lot of sense. How did they come up with this name, the Pegan Diet? So it's basically saying paleo with vegan is basically pegan. It's Dr. Mark Hyman, medical doctor, behind this book. Basically everything I shared with you, which I've been saying for a long time to my patients, he goes into greater detail, but I really like a lot of the information in the book. I would highly recommend if you want to go into a deep dive of some of his principles. And just remember, whether it's me or Dr. Mike Hyman and his book, see what works for you. But I think he's really done a good job of bringing these two diet systems together. The paleo, which always made sense to me, really promoting healthy food. And then, with the vegan diet, that made sense to me. I said, a lot of greens, that totally seems logical, and bringing these two diet plans together. And I liked in his book, the tone of the book is like, see what works for you. There's no hard and fast rules. See what works for you. And I'm a huge proponent. I totally support any system that says, see how your body is responding, see what works for you. So please, check out this book. It's really good. You can download it on Kindle. You can purchase the book. Highly recommend it. And if you even want to get started, check him out on YouTube. Check out, he probably has a ton of podcasts. He's really out there promoting it. And at this point in time, I would say it's a really good book about nutrition, how to look at food. Really has some good concepts there, which I support Dr. Mark Hyman. So again, hope you guys are enjoying this stuff. Like, share, subscribe. Really hope everything's going awesome for you. I want more health for you, quality of life. I just hope everything's going great for you and your family. So take care. God bless you. And I'll be here again next week.